Hi and welcome back. Man, it has been a while, okay? So, being a new nurse is it's rewarding, but at the same time, it's very how can I say this? Challenging. So, everything is literally new to you. School does try to prepare you, but I feel like school is literally just the basic of the basics, and everything else that you're going. I just saw in my viewfinder that, wow, I do not have earrings. And that is like a no-no. So let me just, okay, that's much better. Gotta have my earrings on. But, so this video is going to be about how it's like to be a new grad nurse. This is just literally an update on why I haven't been posting that much. And just a check-in kind of before I start going into being regular on my channel. So my channel is going to switch from, it's going to still be nursing. I'm still going to talk about nursing, but it's also going to go into health, because that's one thing that I noticed started lacking in my life when I started being a nurse. I was kind of proactive about my health when I was in college, and now when I started school, my health started lacking, and I'm just like, nope, can't do that, can't let it slip too much. Okay, we can blame the pandemic, we can blame how hard it's been being a new grad nurse, but we're not gonna do that. Okay, I did it for some time now, but I'm going to stop doing that now and start trying to get control of my health now. So I have some videos planned. So my experience being a new grad nurse. So I have been a new grad nurse for 9 months, because I worked 1 or 2 months inside of a nursing home, and then I switched to a hospital. So you can say like 8 to 9 months that I've been a new grad nurse, and it has been interesting. Okay, so number one, I worked in the nursing home, and I feel like nursing home, it's either for you or it's not for you. For me, I feel like nursing homes, for right now where I am in my career, I feel like it wasn't really best suited for me and my personality. Like for me, when I'm taking care of somebody, I like to do holistic care, and at a nursing home, you literally have to try to get your tasks done, and that is it. Like literally, I felt like I was just passing out medications and worrying about the medication side of nursing for all of my residents. I literally felt like a pill passer. Not even gonna beat the bush around that. So when I first got hired into the hospital, I was hired in the pandemic. Okay, so the first 4 months, I love my manager. That's one thing. I really love my manager, because when I was training for the first 2 months, literally she had me on a stroke and BMT floor. BMT stands for bone marrow transplant patients. So I'm so glad that I got trained on that floor before I went to my floor that I got hired in, because number one, it allowed me to see all of nursing care, because when it comes to COVID patients, the treatment is kind of the same for most of the patients. There's little differentials, but most of all, it's the same treatment and care for almost everybody. So me training on the stroke floor and BMT floor allowed me to see more of what nurses do on a regular pre-COVID time. I don't want to say regular, because what is really regular, but pre-COVID timing. And then I went into COVID floor, I started working on my unit, the unit that I got hired on, and the first month working with COVID patients, I'm not going to lie, I was nervous, not only for my own health, but I'm also living with my parents. I was just nervous in that aspect of, I didn't want to have COVID and not show any type of symptoms and then pass it along to them. So that was literally my biggest concern. I always take my precaution no matter what, still this day. Even though right now we're technically back to a med surg floor, we've been a regular med surg floor for 3 months now. So I'll also tell you the story about that. But I'm still taking my precaution, because people can be asymptomatic and still have this virus. So if you don't care yourself, at least care enough for your loved one or everyone else that you're going to interact with. So dealing with that nervousness, and also being a new nurse, I felt like I was kind of thrown into COVID. But I did learn a lot about respiratory. I feel like the respiratory system, listen, in school, like, yes, we were taught about it, but I felt like I have a better understanding of it because I used to love cardiac. Like, cardiac came so easily to me. But now I feel like respiratory, if you give me a respiratory issue, I feel like, all right, I'm down. Listen, let's get A, B, C done, okay? Type of situation. But now, I dealt with COVID for 2 months, I believe. Yes, it was 2 months. And then we switched back to a regular med surg floor because the census started going down in our hospital. But no, the census started going down on our floor. Like, there was still COVID inside the hospital, but it wasn't on our floor anymore. We had another floor that was designated to be the COVID unit. After getting a hang of dealing with COVID patients and knowing how I can best help them and treat them, I was starting to get a little bit confident in my skills, just a little bit. Like, not confident to the point of I don't need help anymore, but confident to the point of, like, okay, I know when this happens I should do this, when that happened I should do that. But I also always ask questions and always seek help when you are new, okay? Even if you're not new, just to have somebody to bounce off ideas off, that's always a key. So I did that. And then after 2 months, like I said, the census started going down on our floor, and we switched back to being just strictly med surg. And I was on my own because our orientation was over. Going to a med surg, from COVID to med surg, I literally felt like I'm like literally starting over again, because med surg, you literally get a little bit of everything, and COVID, it was just COVID. That was it. Okay. I was getting more comfortable with just COVID. But then when we switched to med surg, I literally had to like reorient myself again, but without a preceptor right next to me. Even my coworkers are amazing. Like, whenever I seek out their help and their guidance, they're literally always willing to help me and teach me in that moment. I also will talk about another situation about nursing eating their youngs. That is a situation I never thought I would have to deal with personally, but there was just this one nurse during day shift that I'm just like, listen, don't you remember how it feels when you were new? Like, that's another day, another story type of situation. But I felt like I was starting all over again with this med surg situation. And right now, the only thing I can really listen, I made this video very long, but I could have really ended this video in 2 seconds saying that always ask questions, okay? Always research, and always know that literally healthcare is a team, okay? You have many resources that you can rely on. You don't have to know everything, okay? As a healthcare worker, you're not supposed to know everything. That's literally impossible. But we have multiple departments and multiple resources that can help you find the answer and the solution. So work as a team, okay? Like, don't be nervous to ask questions and to try to seek answers. Don't be like, oh, if I don't know the answer, that means I'm not competent. No, you're literally competent enough to go and seek out the answer. Oh, don't ever feel like, oh no, let me not voice anything or let me not question anything. Like, literally, as a new nurse, I was questioning some doctor's orders, and that was kind of interesting, because some doctors, they'll be like, oh, I'm doing this because of that, and they will literally like teach you and be like, oh, this is why I'm doing this type of treatment. Others will be like, listen, just do what I say. And I'm just like, when that happens, I literally go to an older nurse, okay, a more experienced nurse, and be like, hey, listen, I was kind of questioning this order, and the doc just said, yo, go ahead and do it. And what do you think about it? Type of situation. And sometimes the older experienced nurse will be like, oh yeah, no, this is fine, they did this because of that. And sometimes they will reach out the doctor themselves and be like, hey, listen, there's this one order that you placed in that the nurse is questioning, and so am I. So there's like, I have been fortunate enough to be in an environment where everyone's willing to teach me. That's one thing that I know I am fortunate of. Even though there's rough times, we're in healthcare. Literally, we sometimes get frustrated with how much responsibility is put on us. And sometimes it's kind of frustrating when a certain type of care is not going as planned, and we kind of put that, like, we literally take the frustration out on each other as coworkers, and it's misplacement of frustration. But at the same time, like, at the end of the day, I know that we all are trying to do what is best for the patient, and that's one thing that I cannot take for granted. Like, I really feel like as a new nurse, this floor has helped me.